Have you been getting headaches that don't seem to have a cause? Maybe your dream is starting to feel more like memories because they're so damn vivid. Or waves of emotion that just rises up out of nowhere. Most people, they may write that off as stress. But what if it's not? What if it's something deeper? What if it's like something inside of you that's waking up and your soul is gently pulling you back to who you really are? Awakening, it doesn't always feel magical. Sometimes it's really messy. It can be emotional, exhausting, or maybe it's the quiet return to something you loved before life told you who to be. And you may cry for no reason. You may start to feel raw, vulnerable, or even notice negative people are suddenly drawn to your energy. That's not a sign something's wrong. It's a sign your light is getting stronger. While it can feel like a breakdown, it's often the beginning of a breakthrough. In this video today, we're going to dive into what an awakening is, what it can look like, and the signs that might show up along the way. We'll also talk about how to move through it with care, and we'll end with a simple activity to help bring it all together. If any of these sounds familiar, just know you're not broken. What you're going through, it might actually be part of an awakening. And more importantly, you're not alone in it. And again, you guys, we're Soul and Self Collective. I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Scott.
And I'm so happy you guys are here with me today. And before we get started on this video, I want to let you know that I am a level 1 shaman, okay? I'm giving you information based on my own recent experience that I'm sharing with you. I'm not a master level shaman, and any therapeutic tools or information I give you, it's based off on my experience thus far in school and as a therapist, marriage family therapist in training. Okay, I'm not licensed, not a master level shaman. I am just walking on this path training to become a licensed marriage family therapist and a master level shaman. And I'm just sharing my stories with you guys, and hopefully it can help someone in need, maybe you. And Scott and his questions, and Scott's walking along this path too. And so
Yeah, I'm right in the middle of the awakening right now.
And so again, take what we share with you. If it applies to you and it helps you, I'm really happy. But if it doesn't apply to you and it sounds like complete rubbish, just take it with a grain of salt and just write us off as crazy people. Okay.
Or ask questions. Be curious. That's the whole point of this entire adventure, is just being curious. Everyone has different stories and different feelings when they're going through it.
That's true. And so without further ado, we will get started with what is a spiritual awakening?
Yeah, what was that like for you?
So I wanted to let you know that what a spiritual awakening is it's part of like a process of becoming aware of your true self, right? So like your purpose, connection to maybe like the universe or the divine. You start to think more, you become a bit more selfless instead of selfish, like the world is revolving around you. You're starting to think more about Mother Earth, the people around you, your own impact on the world. And it's very gradual and it's subtle. Okay. And to answer Scott's question, I felt like I felt like I had my spiritual awakening since I was very little. Remember when I told you that, have you ever had that thought where like you're really here?
Yeah.
That was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. When I started to like wonder if there are spirits, if there's a truth to things that we see on TV, like those mythical type of TV shows, animes.
During that time, did you ever try and talk to the spirits when you were awakening, or is it?
No, more like playing. So like I used to collect acorns and I would make like offerings and put it next to like trees and whatnot. Or I would make little flower crowns and I'll place it by a stream or trees.
You can tell you were a Ghibli child.
Not really. Okay, so when I was little, I used to, I'm not proud of it, okay, you guys. I used to, I don't even want to share it. I used to go catch dragonflies and just stuff it in a milk carton. Oh, God, it's awful. It's awful because I ripped some of the wings off so they wouldn't fly away. Okay. Anyway, so moving on. So much for Ghibli vibe, right? Freaking,
You could edit that out.
I'm like freaking Darla. Yeah. So anyway, so back to
We went from Ghibli to Finding Nemo real quick.
oh my gosh. So yeah.
Moving on.
So spiritual awakening, it's like subtle and it's gradual, right? But then let's talk a bit about shamanic awakening. So that one, it's a spiritually initiated by like an awakening marked by specific calling, right? To be a healer, a spirit communicator, or a guide, right? Because we know that in the Hmong shaman community,
Yeah.
there's the angel workers, gunning shaman, and then there's the old school style that has nothing but demon slaying type of guides. And then there's like the I almost said the middle age, but then the one that's like a mixture of the both. I can't think of the word, but yeah, there's that one. And so that type of shamanic awakening, it's involuntarily and it's really disruptive. It I feel like that one, it's more of like it hits you like lightning. It, in some cases, you may need like a crisis intervention of some sort, either through medical or through like a faith healer or a mentor. Like that one is very immediate. And so the difference is, spiritual awakening, you're just becoming, oh, this is nice. I think I'm going to be a better person. I want to be a better person. I want to be curious about those around me and the world. Whereas shamanic is like, you're literally.
What was your shamanic awakening?
My,
I feel like you had a couple.
No, I did. I mean, like, I had really vivid dreams again. Um, in my previous video, I mentioned where I was being chased by a demon lady in my home. I was a teenager, and it was very, again, it was vivid, and I still remember it like a memory because it is a memory. Um, and that was the first time where I met my ancestral guides, and they were protecting me and keeping that demon lady away from me. Um, yeah, that and just sensing spirits, but mainly just being like followed and haunted. Like looking back, I was really haunted, but again, it's not like it's bam in my face. It's so subtle and it's so easy for me to just write it off because it happens once in a blue moon.
Yeah,
That
makes sense.
Okay, so let's talk about some of like the physical symptoms that a person can feel when they're like awakening, whether that's a shamanic awakening or a spiritual awakening. To me, I feel like I was getting a lot of headaches, right? And my dreams, they were really vivid. Before I get to the dreams, for my headaches, I had a lot of headache, especially in my third eye area. And then I had really bad ice pick type of headache in the back of my brain area.
Did you?
Yeah. Why?
That's fascinating because I've had very similar experiences when I started to meditate more and try to communicate more with my guides. The headaches are just always right in the middle of the forehead and just right along those shoulder slash like neck area.
Oh,
And I
okay.
didn't know that you had the shoulder ones. I thought that was always just pain from the military, but it's interesting that it was spiritual.
The shoulder definitely, but not the head.
Oh, the
It
head.
yeah, it didn't go down here.
Okay.
It was mainly my head and the lower back,
Hmm.
or the lower part of my scalp, my cranium. And then I also had like really vivid dreams, right? And again, the dreams, they are, I can remember them like a memory. They're really vivid, um, and they're really intense too. Yeah, they're really intense. And I okay, so I'm not sure if I share this. Uh, Whatever. It doesn't matter if I share it or not. You're just gonna have to hear it again. So sorry. It's just a same dream I might have told you of my senile brain. But before my teacher came and raised me, I remember having this dream that what felt like a normal dream. I was in Rancho Cordova. For those who live in Sacramento area, you know where Rancho Cordova is. Just I was on that main road where that kind of follows the light rail. I went to go get Subway, right? Normal dream. This part isn't important. Just kind of drawing the picture. Deal with my burglar brain. And so we keep moving along, and I was in the shopping plaza, and I got out, and I went into this little banquet hall like thing, and you guys, I saw a bunch of Hmong people in Hmong shaman clothes, and they had their veils and everything. Like, just think about it's giving me goosebumps. They were literally sitting in tables together, and they were chanting, and it was spooky, right, to see that, but also like really empowering to see that too. So I don't know if they were ghosts of all of like the shamans in the past, or they were like my ancestral side of the family, and they were like a bunch of shamans that I'm seeing. But that was really weird and really bizarre. I didn't notice any of them that was ladies. They were, from what I remember, they're all men.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. And they wore red and black veil, and they wore Hmong clothes. And I can't tell if they were deceased or not because their face was covered. But I just remember a lot of like, when you hear bees, it's like that buzz. It them chanting all together, it just kind of sounded like a buzz. But I remember that dream super vividly. So a dream like that, that to me that counts as like a vivid dream.
It's fascinating. I haven't gotten to that part yet. All I will say, prior to the quote unquote awakening that I'm going through, I didn't feel like I dreamt that much.
Mm.
But ever since I decided to go down this path with Liz, the dreams are relentless.
Yeah.
It's like every night, and some nights it's the exact same dream over and over again. And I know that it's all a test or they're trying to teach you something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is me, but I must be not getting the point because I feel like I just keep
It's
going down
okay.
these dreams. And it's fascinating because, like, when they're first started, you're like, well, that wasn't that bad. But after like 3 months of just going through the same type of dreams, it just gets draining. You're just like, oh,
That's because you're not passing it.
here we go again. I know. I'm just going to every time I go to sleep, and I'm just like, all right, here we go again. Maybe today will be different.
I'm sorry. That sounds a little intense, like Groundhog Day.
It is.
I would hate falling asleep.
I know. And they're all puzzles. It's not like I'm doing cool things
Oh.
like killing things. It's always like escape this never ending dungeon.
No, I had similar dreams, but then like it's not trying to escape. It's more like I'm taking something and I need to escape safely with the item that I've taken.
Fuck, maybe that's where I'm messing up. I'm never getting an item. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to find the
No,
item.
you'll know you're supposed to get an item, but I wouldn't be too hard on yourself.
It's okay. I assume I'll pass. I'll pass it eventually, and we'll see what's next.
And then I kind of want to move on to the part where I was like telling you guys earlier, where you start to become a little selfless, right? You're starting to think outside of your own consciousness, and you start caring more about the well-being of others and those around you and Mother Earth, and you're being more conscious about your own consumption and what you're giving back and things like that.
Okay, I will say I have been more conscious of killing bugs, which is irritating because before I would just kill a bug and be done with it, and now I'm sitting there like staring at it, and I'm like, I need to kill that, and then something's like, or you can grab something and put it outside, and I'm like, why would I do that?
Yeah, you
And then I
can.
catch myself doing it, and I'm just like, so that must be the side effect of awakening, because I'm definitely not one to be saving bugs. I'm more of a burn them all down and get rid of them, but that's come to an end too.
Uh, it's even worse because we we had a bunch of like spider eggs in our garage, and I didn't have the heart to like destroy their home, and they might be like black widow babies. I don't know. But anyways, so I just kind of left them there. I think it's safe for us to remove those eggs now. Scott showed me a trick where you just take a stick and you don't obviously break the egg, but you kind of take it off and hold on to the stick, the egg, the nest,
Yeah.
and you just put it in the bush. Like, duh, you know?
Put it somewhere
But
else.
I thought if I told you about it, I thought he was going to destroy the eggs in the nest.
Because I normally do. Usually I'm like, all right, we need to go
See?
out there with a raid, and we need to just
And
douse it,
so,
catch it on fire.
and so I kept quiet about it, and now my house and my cars are raided with baby spiders. Anyways, so let's go about gut instinct. So, what does that mean? It means trusting yourself more, trusting your gut. Okay, when I trusted my own gut instinct of not destroying life. It was around the time of my raising, and I didn't want to take innocent life, even if it means like spiders. Okay, you guys, I don't know what else to say about that. I feel like I'm already being judged by so many people because I know maybe a lot of people don't like spiders. But in that moment, I'm just thinking like innocent lives of hundreds, maybe not thousands of spiders.
I will say, even now, if I'm sitting there and I'll see a spider, instead of like jumping up and doing what I used to do, because I hate spiders, absolutely hate them. I'd run away from them. Now I look at it, and it's as long as it's running away from me, I'm just like, well, it's time to go to a different room. I don't try to kill it. I don't try to get rid of it. I'm just like, whatever. Which is so weird because I hate spiders.
Apart from not wanting to take innocent life with your gut instinct, I feel like another spiritual gut instinct is reading. Some people, they're starting to really read the energy of other people.
Mm.
They get what kids call it nowadays, the vibe. Is there a vibe here?
The aura.
Or aura. Yeah. I'm laughing about it, but it's true. Like, what is the vibes there? What is that person like? What are they giving off? And so that plays a big role in gut instinct as well. Let's talk about this part, the feeling of like an emotional purge. Yikes. I think this is the part where a lot of people, they really put their brakes on, because a lot of the things that maybe they were emotionally traumatized by, or things that were really heavy, right, for a person to carry, they put it in the back burner. But when you're having a spiritual awakening and you're becoming more aware of outside your own consciousness, things that you put in the back, it starts to come to the front. That's floating up. And it's not meant to come up to deter you from going through with your awakening process. It's meant to come up so that you can face those dark parts of you, the parts that you're running away from, and just really processing it and burning it and letting it go and becoming at peace with it, right? And this is where a person should really have someone who they feel safe talking to exploring that with. Again, you guys, seek professional mental help, like talk to somebody. They obviously don't have the answer to your problems. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody. Only you do. But that doesn't mean that the other person can't be there to help you process and be curious about what you're going through, because it only takes one person to help validate your experience and to help you become curious of your own situation, right?
I think that's very important, is just being curious. Continue to be curious. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about what other people might think or like try to put you into a box, and be accepting of what you believe in, what you want to believe in. Because if you believe in it, that's all that truly matters.
Yep.
And don't worry about people trying to label you things. It's okay to believe in what you want to believe in. That is an opportunity you have.
I know for the longest time, I was so afraid of being called like schizophrenic, or being called like I'm crazy, or that C word, crazy.
Yep.
Like what our thumbnail title is, you're not crazy. You're not. Crazy, normal, those are all just relative terms to help people gauge on how to behave around you. Think about that.
Yeah, it's very true.
So,
very true. And remember, schizophrenia is only schizophrenia if you don't have control over what you're seeing or feeling. Mm-hmm. If you have control over it and you know what you're doing and you're doing it on purpose, it's not schizophrenic. You have to not be in control and they just randomly appear.
Yeah. The big word is being able to control it. Yeah. Can you turn it off? Can you prevent it? Can you stop it?
Yeah. And that's just from medical terms.
Yeah. The caveat, European-centric mindset, okay? Yeah. Again, there's a lot of critiques about European therapy, hence why I understand why a lot of maybe the Asian community, especially Hmong community, we don't go out seeking therapy, especially at here in the US, because it's very catered towards the European mindset, right? But I want to let you guys know that the therapy field, it is shifting, and they're becoming more inclusive of Eastern mindset, right? Because let's be real, like it's not just the Western European type of that's not the main reality, right? We are essentially one big melting pot here on Mother Earth, and so I'm just really glad that therapy is not really concrete, headstrong, and just the westernized type of therapy lens, and we're being more inclusive of Eastern medicine and philosophy and religion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now I want to talk about the spiritual things that may happen around during the spiritual awakening. Okay, so around this time, like I was telling you, negative people, they may start to come around more. They may really, really want to hang out with you, right? And try to tell you to go drinking, to go partying. It's just really things that can attract trouble. I'll just say that. Yeah. Things that can attract trouble. Whatever that might mean for you, I'll let you think about that. But
it's not even just physical people as well.
No.
I attract.
Well, I was going to get to that.
Oh, okay.
I was going to get to that. Okay. But that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like Liz is always yelling at me when she goes to no name because she has to clean me from all the spirits that are attracted to me.
Yes. Okay. So what Scott's trying to say is it's not just physical people that are negative and they're attracted to people who are starting to awaken. It's also negative spirits that have dark energy. They may start to become really attracted to the light. Think of like a moth in a flame, right? I don't clean you that much. The only time I clean this guy is when I'm literally in the middle, like getting at one knee, and I'm coughing or I'm like gagging, and then they show me Scott, and and me spitting on him, and so I'm like, oh, they want me to clean him. That's the only time I clean him. Like I don't go out of my way to clean him yet because I'm not on my second level. I'm being a good student. I swear, you're trying to get me in trouble. This will, okay, anyways, I am not cleaning him, just for the record. I'm just cleaning when he's watching me, and I need to not gag or cough on my journey. Like four times a week, okay? Sometimes five, not skipping a day, even when I'm on my menstrual cycle or when I'm like
I know
sick.
she tries to skip a day. It's hella funny. She'll just be sitting there and she'll be like trying to negotiate with them. Like, come on, guys. Like, do I have to go today?
Anyways, I do not clean him as often as he says. Second level, yeah, maybe
Different story.
different story, but just first level, just enough to get by. But what Scott says is true, though. When you're starting to awaken, your light is becoming brighter, and yeah, it's attracting a lot of negative things.
Yeah.
People, spirits. And then I know for me personally, I started noticing a lot of spiritual activities like sleep paralysis, um, like objects being shifted. And this always happen when I'm alone. Like, it makes sense, but at the same time, like, why just when I'm alone? That's so annoying. But you see, here's the difference is that there's no scary music to like creep me out. And so if I just see like an object fall, I'm like, well, that's annoying.
Like, how inconvenient.
He's like, I gotta pick that up. Oh, the blind's moving. Must be the AC. I'm just gonna go to the other room. Like,
you're like me with the spiders. Like, well, that's inconvenient. I just leave now.
yeah, I'm laughing about it. I'm trying to make light of it. I understand some people. It's not a laughing matter. I'm so sorry, but what I'm trying to say is that supernatural things like that can happen when you're awakening, and hopefully you have somebody who you can make light of situations like that, because without a little laughter in this type of awakening or these type of situations, it I can understand how it might be a terrifying place for you to be in.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to put that down like like lightly.
Yeah, I personally just go towards humor and trying to make light of every situation. So more than likely than not, that's the way I'm gonna go regardless. I don't know if you've always been like that.
I'm more of like laughing at looking back at my own situation and how dense I was. That's what I'm laughing at. But I do know some people who they have encountered spiritual situations, and it terrifies them. Okay, so all of these happen, the physical, you're noticing these supernatural situations happening. What do you do with it? What can you do about it? Well, number one, you can start doing something that a lot of it's like this new to me, it's new lingo, but it's essentially shadow work. It's where you start to be curious about the dark parts of yourself, being curious about that and exploring, empathizing with it, giving yourself self compassion, you know, saying words of kindness to yourself, and just really accepting that part of yourself.
Acceptance.
Yeah. And then also, something else you should be doing is reevaluating your relationship with those around you. Such as looking at the values that y'all have. Does that align with who you want to be, right?
I feel like that's very important for people, because if you genuinely want to go down this path and you're surrounding yourself with people that are constantly doubting you or filling your mind with doubt or any type of negativity towards you, going through that,
like being dismissive.
being dismissive towards it, saying they don't have time for it, is evaluating what does it mean for you. Is it worth having those conversations with those people to seeing if they can better understand what your value is, because your value is important to you and it should be important to them as well.
Yes. And I always tell those around me that those that loves you, that cares about you deeply, if you have an open, honest conversation with them, they should be receptive to want to honor what you're sharing and what you're saying, being curious about what you're saying, and trying to learn about whatever it is you're going through so they can better help support you.
Yeah. Because they don't have to agree with what you're doing, but they should still be there to support you and what you're doing. Because that's what it comes down to, is supporting the people that they care about and you care about.
Yep. And with that said, go seek therapy, you guys.
And you might not find the first therapist you go to might not be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean stop doing it. Finding a therapist is kind of like dating.
It's a dating game, you guys.
Find the one that you truly trust and want to be with, and then you'll be able to get work done. You'll be able to make those strides to better your mental health. If you find someone that you don't connect with, you're not going to make any improvements, and you're not going to be able to get into those deeper conversations. So save yourself time and move on to the next one. Yep. It's okay. They're not bound to you.
Yeah, because you really need that therapist to, they're such a great tool to help you navigate your situation and really help you processing all that memories that maybe you've repressed for a really long time, right? And so...
And if you're not getting support from your family and friends, that's always a good place to get support, because they legally can't tell anyone about what you guys are talking about.
Yep.
So it's a safe place to be able to just unload everything that you want to talk about. That way you're not holding it inside anymore.
And I also want to share that seeking a spiritual mentor would be very helpful. It isn't, so for a Hmong shaman, it doesn't mean just finding a teacher. It could be like a friend, another fellow shaman, brother or sister, you know, just being together, sharing each other's experiences and being there for each other, believing each other, you know.
Yeah. Even we've
hitting the gong for each other.
Even we've had people reach out to us, and we always try to take the time to respond and let them know that we are hearing them. We are open to having those conversations with people, because that's what this is about, is starting a community and being there for everybody, so everyone can feel wanted and feel like they have a voice.
Yeah, exactly. And so something else you can do at this time is also, you guys, start valuing yourself. Yes, valuing yourself, okay?
Absolutely.
Start loving yourself. Treasure yourself. And I don't know, it kind of goes opposite of what I shared earlier of, you know, having that selfless mindset. But what I'm sharing, it's not talking about like spoil yourself and become super self-centered. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sharing words of kindness to yourself. If you messed up on a project, speak to yourself kindly about it, right? The big point is being your biggest cheerleader, being your biggest best friend, not your biggest bully, okay? The world is already cruel out there. You don't need to be hard on yourself. During this time, as you're going through this, really being kind to yourself is essential.
Yeah. And be patient with yourself. Not everything's going to come easily. Everyone has their own path and their own struggles, so to say. And if you hear someone that does something quicker than you, that's their path. They might struggle with something else. Don't try to compare yourself with anybody else, because no one in the world is going to go down the same path you are. Everyone has a completely different path, and you just need to be patient with yourself and trust in yourself and in your guides while you go down this journey.
And with that said, you should become closer to who you are. You're going to shed things that weren't you, like drinking. My dad's example, eating really weird, funky type of animals. And, you know, just choosing things that you gravitate towards, like really naturally, right?
Yeah. What are some of the things that you've noticed that you've had to give up or have gravitated away from?
I have to say that myself, for the most part, again, I started my awakening when I was very young.
Yeah.
And so I stayed away from a lot of raw food. I've always been wanting to eat raw food, but I've always had an ick for it.
Yeah.
And I've never eaten it. Or at least, like, it's rare. Once in a blue moon that I
Yeah.
eat raw meat.
And I've noticed since you've risen, you can't eat medium rare steaks anymore. Everything has to be well done.
A disgrace, really.
A
A disgrace.
disgrace.
Dog chew is what it is. Even dogs won't eat it. But yeah, those are some of the things that I had to give up. Well, that I actually naturally did not gravitate towards. Something that I did give up is drinking alcohol. Um, I wasn't much of a drinker, anyways, but I started to really like drinking wine with food, and well, that was short lived because
yeah,
I was like a month or two into like drinking wine with food, and then I raised, and then I was like, oh, well, there goes that life pleasure. So yeah, those are some of the things that you shed.
Yeah, at least that you've shed.
Yeah.
Everyone will shed different things.
Yes. And then, during this time, you want to really focus on self-care. And I know you guys probably heard this like from everywhere, but it's so true. You really have to start taking care of yourself. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean to take care of myself? Meaning recharging your battery, bringing life back to your soul, to your body, whether that's taking a nice nature walk, whether for me, coloring, tapping into my artistic creative side, making these content. Honestly, that's the only reason why I have the motivation with Scott to make these videos weekly, is it gives me an outlet to tap into my creative mode and edit and be a slave.
Yeah. And I'm going to add something a little deeper into the self-care part. Is self-care is about you. I've noticed through our therapeutic journey that a lot of people come in, and when you talk about self-care, especially in couples or people that are in relationships, their self-care always revolves around making someone else happy. And when you strip that away from them and you ask them,
can you give an example?
Yeah, so some people that I've been working with, they've gone through like a divorce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to figure out what they enjoy, but it's been so long since they've done anything for themselves that they genuinely have no idea what they enjoy. Because all they've ever worried about is the other person, what the other person enjoys, and that became their identity. And when it comes to self-care, as we usually say, you need to date yourself. You need to find out what you genuinely enjoy and not worry about what someone else is telling you to enjoy. If you enjoy, like you said, coloring or drawing, then that's okay.
Yeah. And it can even be as simple as like wearing really nice textured pajamas.
Yeah.
Having that little bit of happiness, indulging and making yourself feel really comfortable. That is self-care. Taking care of yourself, making yourself really comfortable, making yourself feel loved, right?
Yeah.
And drink your water.
Coming from her, she drinks like a cup a day.
That was my spirit guide also warning all other shamans to be drinking their water and stop. Put that soda down right now. Go drink water.
Yeah, she can't drink as much soda anymore. It makes her sad.
Anyways.
That's another thing. What was that? You had to give up. You had to give up meat. You got to give up sugar soda.
Exactly.
They didn't even want you drinking sweet tea.
It's not even just partying and alcohol. It's all of the other life indulgence that you have to give up. That's not good for you. That should be just done in moderation. But how can you just have one?
It's been 34 years.
Of soda. Yeah, it's been 34 years. Okay, So this next part, we're going to do a little exercise, and that's going to help you kind of gauge where your threshold is, what your automatic thoughts are when you've become uncomfortable, right? So that can be uncomfortable in a situation where you're in conflict with someone else or you're having negative thoughts. So I'm sure you guys heard of the term mindfulness. And what it essentially means is that you're being mindful, like you're aware of the situation that's happening. So, like being stuck in traffic. You are not in denial that you're stuck in traffic.
It's there.
You see it and you accept it, and you're like, okay, I'm in traffic. And you accept your fate, right? That is mindfulness.
Okay.
You accept that there's traffic and there's something you can do about it. You can't make this car like physically move. You just can't. I mean, if you do, that's a whole different topic. That's aggression and parts of self that just takes over. When you're stuck in traffic and whatnot, this part right here, you want to add some self-compassion in there. And self-compassion, what it means is that you're adding kindness to yourself, right? So mindfulness, it focuses on the acceptance of the experience, right? And then the self-compassion, it focuses on the caring, like focusing more on kindness and care for the experiencer. So when you're stuck in traffic, you think the mindfulness piece, I'm stuck in traffic. And then the self-compassion parts, and you say something nice to yourself, more like in a caring term where I am in a really crappy situation. I'm going to be late for work. It's going to be really frustrating. I can see how hard this is going to be for me. Just validating yourself, and that it's very hard to do because it's not speaking plainly without flowery words. It's not normal in the sense that everyone does that kind of thinking. Instead, what a typical person might do, and this is just a bias, right? Where a person is stuck in traffic and they become really irate, they become aggressive, they start swearing, they may start honking, in aggressive cases, they might start throwing pennies, or they might start arguing with their significant other or other passengers in the car. Those are what is called resistance. That's the behavior in response to the pain that you're feeling. When you're stuck in traffic, it sets off a pain in your mind, and your body's responding to that. And how you respond to that is resistance. And so with this exercise, hopefully you start to notice the sensation, right? The mindfulness piece, the sensation, and adding self-compassion to it to de-escalate you down to where you're not enacting on the pain that you're feeling, aka the resistance, um, either running away or acting out or things that maybe you might regret.
Yeah.
So I have my guinea pig here.
The guy who dropped water.
And if you guys want to follow along, just go grab an ice cube, okay? And Scott here has his ice cube. Okay,
got my ice cube.
He picked it up, and so I want to put a disclaimer out there. Those who can you put that down?
Oh.
If you have Raynaud's disease, which is basically a phenomenon where it's a condition where your blood flows certain part of the body, and it's usually like the fingers or the toes, and it can be triggered by cold temperature, stress, or emotional upset. And it could cause like the small blood vessel to narrow and temporarily limit blood supply. So if you have Raynaud's disease, please do not do this exercise. Okay. But if you don't have Raynaud's disease, try this ice exercise and let me know how it goes. If you want to follow along, if not, you can just watch Scott.
I will say this is therapeutic thing that I've never personally used or have done. So this will be interesting. I always hear you talk about using it, but I've never seen it or went through it.
And this is something that you can easily find on Google. Like it's a really neat exercise for you to kind of take your mindset slower in a more safe control environment to see what resistance is like in real time. So go ahead and hold the ice in your hand for a few seconds. And as you're holding it, I want you to notice some thoughts that come into your mind. So some of those thoughts can be like, will this harm me? I can't take this. It's kind of cold. Okay, whoever created this is cruel. Those type of thoughts, that's resistance. Okay. Now pay close attention to what you are experiencing, moment to moment. For example, you may probably feel the sensation of cold as simply cold. If pain sensations are pulsing on your arm, feel the pulsation just as pulsation.
The pain is starting to kick in.
Notice the emotions, such as fear, simply as fear. And then notice any impulse to action that may be arising, such as dropping the ice, moving the ice on your palm.
Oh, we're not supposed to move
to alleviate the cold. Well, notice that. And then let yourself be aware of impulse as simply impulse. That's mindfulness. Now let's add a little bit of kindness to the mix. Let yourself be comforted by the thought that this exercise hurt, but it isn't harmful. And you can let out like maybe a little, this kind of hurts.
It definitely hurts. I will definitely say I feel it. And you said don't move, and ever since I tried stopping moving, I had to shut my eyes.
I want you to appreciate your hand for alerting you to that sensation of pain. And then
I appreciate my hand.
I want you to give yourself a nod of respect and the admiration of enduring this exercise and learning something new because it took courage. Okay, now you can put down the ice. Okay, what did you notice when you were doing this practice?
It was very hard to hold on to the ice. It hurt, so I kept trying to move it back and forth in my hand.
I noticed that you talked a lot.
Was I not supposed to?
Generally you can, but to me it was cue that it was discomfort and you were trying to alert someone.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So what?
Yeah. Well, yeah. As you were talking, I was like, why was I talking? And as I talked about earlier, I always go towards whenever things get uncomfortable, I always go towards comedy or comedic relief. Because when you were sitting there being like, thank your hand for what it's doing, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have betrayed my hand by not letting go of the ice that it keeps telling me to put down. So I was coming up with jokes in my head, and I'm like, no, you can't. This isn't a joking matter right now.
Well, those I know, even like sarcasm or jokes, they're meant to alleviate the pain.
Yeah.
But that is resistant. Why is that resistant? Because you're pushing away what you're feeling.
Yep. I'm trying to distract myself from the actual pain that I'm in.
You guys, you cannot heal what you don't feel. Let that sink in. You cannot heal what you don't feel. Okay.
Makes sense.
And I hope that this little ice exercise was enlightening and maybe even a little fun, just a little bit.
It's quite fun.
Did you feel like mindfulness or self-kindness change your experience?
It was more of a distraction thing, like focusing on everything else besides what the pain was. So I was trying to block out the pain by focusing on other things. So it was a interesting experience. I think the aftermath, when you were talking about why I was feeling the pain,
Mm-hmm.
and accepting it was stronger than going through the actual motion of it.
Hmm.
And it made sense when you said that we can't heal from things that we're refusing to feel.
Yeah.
And I was trying to refuse to feel that, and I was trying to get it out and push it away.
See?
Instead of embracing it and working through what that pain was.
Take that as cue to how maybe how that's amplified into other situation that is not as innocent as like a little ice activity.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys, you're not crazy. You're just awakening, okay? And you don't have to figure it all out right now. Lord, you do not have to figure it all out right now. Unless you're supposed to be a shaman and you're supposed to rise and you're not wanting because you're already a risen shaman. I can't help you there. Nobody can help you there but you. But yeah, this is just the beginning and you're going to do better than you think. I believe in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yep, we will see you in the next video.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for joining us. Y'all take care.